Today is Monday. It's August 3rd, and you are wasting yet another 2 hours with us. Um, I had ideas for what I wanted to tell you all about, and they've all gone out of my head. Oh, okay. Yeah. So one of them is I received in the mail today this awesome little let me spotlight myself again. Here we go. Okay. This awesome little plastic slide open package. And I was looking at it and like, wow, that's really impressive. That's like, is that 3D printed? And I opened it, and yeah, it is 3D printed. It's really amazing. Oh, and it came with these keycaps in it as well. So if you don't know the story, I'll let Ingo tell all the details here. But if you were not somebody that backed the Paul and Loic's keycap adventure, that's what I'll call it for now. Um, Not Paul, Ingo and Loic. Sorry, Ingo. Ingo spent a good, let's see, 16th of his life designing these keycaps. And I remember when this started like years ago, several years ago, he wanted to do custom keycaps for his 81. And he went through water slide decals and various iterations. And what he really wanted was black keycaps with, the white print, like something that looked you know, something that looked suitably similar to the 1000 or 81. This is a thing that Stuart built from Zebra Systems that uses the Ginger electronic keyboard mechanism. It's got this little case here, right? And um, this is a cable for hooking up to your 81, 1000. There's also I'm really bad at pointing backwards. Also a USB connector, so you can hook it up to your computer and use it as a emulator keyboard because, you don't have enough ZX81/1000 keyboard interactions in your life. Actually, those keyboards are really nice because they have these little micro switches in it. Anyway, getting back to Ingo and his 1/16th life journey of designing keycaps. So Ingo, went through a bunch of iterations and then he discovered this company up in Montreal called 3D Keycap and worked with Loic, who's the person behind that. He's got this printer. You can just put these keycaps in it and print and boom, even for white on black. Looks fantastic, right? Well, um, there was a slight challenge in designing one particular aspect of several of those keycaps, and um, Ingo and Loic were not happy with how it turned out, so they went back to the drawing board or the Inkscape, I guess, and figured out the solution and shipped out people who participated in the Kickstarter a new set of replacement keycaps. I was perfectly fine with what I got. But, hey, I will always accept a 3D printed slide open case in which I can put my little chiclet gums. All right, so Ingo, with that note, I'm going to ask you to jump in and tell the story a little bit.
Sure. You did a great job of summarizing kind of the what happened and how it went.
Did I
Yeah,
get the
so
interval right?
yeah, yeah,
About a 16th of your life?
I think so. Yeah. I made that Inkscape file quite a while back for the water slide decals, and that worked out fine. And I was trying to get something to work with WASD keyboards when they were still around because they did the dye sublimation. But the tricky part was that they couldn't really do dye sublimation in white on a black keycap. So that was the challenge. And that's why all the other keycaps that you see out there are gray or something else with colors on it. And I didn't want to settle for that. I wanted something that looked like the original membrane keyboard, but was real keycaps and real key switches. So I kept pushing, and I went searching for WASD again, and then I found out that they'd gone out of business just a few months prior. And I started poking around, asking people, and somebody turned me on to Loïc and his company, 3D KiCad.
Oh, wow.
And I
Okay.
started talking to him about it. And I sent him my SVG file and realized that, I had to flip everything around because in my Inkscape file, white is white and black is black, but his UV printer, so his printer uses UV ink instead of dye sublimation. So he can actually spray white ink on top of a black keycap, and then it uses a UV light to cure it. And I had to make some changes to my file, and there was a lot of back and forth. And one of the things that both of us were unsure about was the checker pattern for the what would be kind of like a gray, a dithered gray, in the original ZX81 and TS1000. So I made a decision to just say, all right, let's just do gray. So we have white, red, and gray being printed on a black keycap. And I have one set. He printed one set for me as a proof, and that has the gray. And then what we shipped to all the backers was the same thing, except that some of the keys didn't get the gray on them. And it was
Oh,
Jay Mundy that pointed it out. And Jay also said, well, I don't like the gray. He's like, I think you should do the checkerboard pattern. And you know what? I thought, okay, let's give it a shot, right? Why not? And so I updated my SVG file again. I sent it to Loïc, and Loïc printed it, and the white was overbearing. And so I actually redid my file to make the white squares smaller, which in my file is black because
mm.
I reduced them to 90%. So reduced them by 10% in size. And then when he printed it, it turned out really nice. And so what you have now, David, is that latest print. And so because we messed up and somehow that's slipped through QC, and all the backers that back to Kickstarter got these seven defective keys. Six of them were the ones that were missing the gray, and one of them was I think the V key. It had a string dollar sign on it where it shouldn't have been. I
Oh,
believe that's what
okay.
it was. So, I really love the fact that Loïc is all about quality and trust with the clients and about being professional and making a good product. And he and I both said, screw whatever profit we might have made on this thing. Let's get this right and get these out to all the backers, no charge. And he didn't tell me that he was going to make those really cool 3D printed cases. So I think it was day before yesterday. I no, it was yesterday. Jay texts me some pictures, and I was just like, "You got to be kidding me!" It turned out really nice, and so yeah, I'm very very glad that my brother and I partnered up with Loïc on this venture with the keycaps. Um, he's possibly also going to be putting together full keyboard sets or keyboard kits.
Oh, nice.
Um, I I have one of my updates for you guys is that I redesigned the circuit board. I went out to I redid everything in KiCad, and then because another thing that Jay brought up was that seeing the six screw heads on the top of the bezel was unsightly. He says it looks bad. Hide the screws. And I thought, you know what? He's right. It does look lame. And so Misha went to the drawing board and redesigned the case. He and I talked about how we could do it with the threaded inserts and run the screws in from the bottom. And then we did that, but with the way I had the mounting holes spaced on my old PCB design, there was interference. So I redesigned the PCB, and I can show you guys a picture. of the PCB. I also added some other stuff. One of the things that I
Hang
did
on.
was, let's see here.
Okay.
Um, Here we go. Get a good picture. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay, let me share this. Um, so this is the latest order I got from
Oh
JLC
my.
PCB, and you can see that I used the Kilo Z font, or I'm sorry, the ZX81 font,
Yeah.
and so this is the back of the PCB, right? So you can see which switch is in each position. It's got the main letter, and I resized the holes so that they will accept the uh, receptacles. So you can
Okay.
solder in receptacles if you want to and make it hot swappable. You don't have to. You can just solder your key switches in, but then you're stuck, right? Whatever bezel you print, 3D print, and put on there, it gets trapped by all the key switches. And if you want to change anything, you got to desolder all your key switches. Um, I've already soldered two of them with the little inserts.
Yeah.
The other bonus is these little boards over here, and
That was
these
my
are
next
the
question.
ZX-Wespi carrier boards.
Nice.
You can see it right here on the top.
Oh, okay.
So what I did is I took my prototype board that I hand wired on just proto board, and I did it up in KiCad, made some layout changes. And instead of running a ribbon cable from the carrier board to the VGA connector, I'm sticking the VGA connector directly on the board.
Yeah.
And then my brother um, adapted the case so that now there's the ZX-Wespi Kilo Z version of the ZX-Wespi carrier board
Nice.
directly mounted in the case. Hang on, let's see here. This out of the way. And so there's our VGA connector
Yeah.
and the USB. And then here are the screws for the keyboard coming in from the bottom.
Huh.
So,
Okay, so what's the faceplate you're using? The blue
so
thing.
this bezel plate,
Yeah, bezel, sorry. Yeah.
it's 3D printed.
Okay.
Um, Now in this one, you see the little bumps here. That's because I intentionally drove the screws all the way through on this one that I printed.
Yep.
Um, in the actual once you actually install it in the case, that won't happen. So it'll be flush fitting. You would print it in the same color as your case. So it would really wrap all your low profile key switches and keycaps, and no more screws showing from the top.
Yeah.
So that's thanks to Jay and him sticking to his guns and telling me that that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And it's my brother and I just listening to him and going, you know what, you're right. Let's give it a try. So um, let's see. I've got uh, yeah, I guess I showed you guys the Wesp board. Oh yeah, here. One thing that was really cool. So this is my old proto board, the proto
Hmm.
carrier that I just slapped together. And then when I designed the new one in KiCad, I 3D printed the PCB so that I could test fit everything before I actually placed my final order with JLC PCB. And
Oh,
then here's the final board. The first one that I uh, actually soldered all the components on, and then I tested it and it worked. And hang on, I've got a picture of that. Right, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. There.
nice. Hey,
Um,
Ingo. Um,
yes.
I told Jay, I think in an email or something, a few weeks back that I would see if I had any extras, and I don't have any more carrier boards for the I don't even remember where I got them from for the Wespi
Oh, you got some?
a long time ago.
Okay.
And I don't know where the rest of them are, so I can't build them a Wespi. Um, can
I
I?
was gonna send him one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and because the one that I designed is made to fit in the Kilo Z case.
Well, he's also having a problem getting quality video output from his 81, if I recall
Oh,
correctly.
really?
That was the issue.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. The video the VGA output from the ZX-Wespi, there's two versions of the Wespi, right? There's
Mm.
one that's just the file server part.
Yep.
And then there's the other one that's the video version. And the video version outputs VGA, or you can attach it to a TFT LCD screen.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so my carrier board has the header for that. I haven't tested that yet. I have an LCD screen that I purchased. I still need to test it. I've been so busy running from one job to another. A lot of emergency calls lately for my power plant customers.
Hmm.
So I haven't had time to really test everything, but I did make sure that all this worked before I sent this, keyboard and the Wespi carrier to my brother so that he could make the case changes. And so now I think we're at a very good point to start releasing the open source files for anybody that wants to print their own.
Cool.
Um, and then I'm going to place some orders for larger quantities of the keyboard PCBs and the ZX Wespi carrier boards, so that, you know, anybody that just wants one can get one from me rather than having to go to JLC PCB or somewhere else and get stuck with five and pay shipping for all of it, right?
Right.
I think that's going to work out better for everybody. But everything will be open sourced and everything will be, I need to clean everything up, put it in a GitHub repo, and then I'll have links to it on the Kilo Z landing page. And as I put stuff on there, anybody that's already subscribed on the Kilo Z landing page will get the updates.
I have a question for you. How do you solder your key switches and keep them straight while you're soldering them?
So that's what the bezel does.
The bezel, really? Okay.
So hang on, let me share this.
I mean, I have
So
my madness for doing it, but I'm curious what yours is.
yeah, yeah. So this is the key right here. This is the way to do it. Let me share this. So when you when you put your bezel plate down, it keeps the switches perpendicular, plumb, whatever you want to call it.
Do they snap into that?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay. Okay. That
And
makes sense.
and so now in this one, you can see I soldered in let me zoom in a little bit
The
more.
little,
So here are those little hot swap ferrules, right?
yes.
They're called receptacles. I call them ferrules, but they've got little tiny, and let me see if I zoom in enough. Maybe you guys can see the little fingers in there. Yeah, you see that? You see the little fingers?
Barely, but yes.
Yeah, it's probably hard at this resolution. Well, hang on, I might have a closer photo.
So
Da, da,
you
da, da.
solder 80 of those little,
Yep. In fact,
and
hang on, let's have some
that
fun.
explains the wine as well.
Let's have some fun. Made a little time lapse video. Can you
Oh
guys see
my
that?
God. Yeah, yeah, I see this.
So I get the little tweezers and I stick them all in, right? And then after I do that, here, I'm gonna skip to the next one. Oops, that's
And then
already
you
soldering.
solder
Hang on.
each one by hand.
So then what I do is I put the Kapton tape on there to
Yeah.
hold them in place so they don't fall out when I flip it over upside down. And I'm actually going to make this a YouTube short. And then so after that, I then go in and I solder them one at a time. It goes pretty
Woof.
fast, especially when
Wow.
you do it in time lapse. It goes really
It goes
fast.
really fast. Huh. Okay.
The only thing you got to be really careful about when you solder these is that you don't get solder in the hole, because then you can't
Use it.
stick your key switches in there anymore. You got to make sure that you only solder the outside. And then once you've soldered them all, you just pull off the Kapton tape and you're done. And now you've got a hot swap keyboard. And if you decide that you want to change the color of your case or change your bezel, or you want to change your key switches to a different type that
Yeah.
are either clickier or not as clicky, or if you end up having a bad switch, you can swap it out very easily without having to get out the soldering iron. Um, I like it. I think it's worth the effort, but not everybody's going to feel that way, and I get that.
You've about doubled the value of any, or at least the investment of any, 81 or 1000 just with
Yeah,
the keycaps alone, or the key switches
yeah.
alone, rather.
Well, I mean, you can't give it voice commands, so you do have to use some kind of that's your main input device, right? And that should be a good experience. I think that's the whole that's what started Kilo Zen, right? Was wanting a better keyboard, so we had to make a new case,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then the madness continues.
No, man, exactly, for sure. Oh my God. That's insane. Cool. Thanks, Inko.
You got it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
what are the next steps? When I don't know, what's the next thing that happens?
So the there were quite a few backers of the Kickstarter project that actually asked Loïc to hold on to their keycaps and not ship them yet because they're looking for, a kit or something to combine the shipping, right? So that's why I've really put all my focus in. I haven't had a lot of spare time, but I put all my spare time into redesigning the keyboard and making it so we could hide the screws and get a good bezel 3D model. And that also gave Loïc time to ship out the new keycaps to fix the ones that were messed up.
Hmm.
So right now, anybody that has a set of keycaps has a good set, and they now have the checkerboard pattern, which is true to the original.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I like it much better than the gray. Uh, I was kind of 50-50 on that one. I just made a judgment call, and I'm going to admit that it was better. It would have been better to just go with the checkerboard right from the beginning. I just, Loic and I were both concerned that his printer wasn't going to be able to do it. Um, so now that we have the good keycaps, I have a good PCB. I'm getting ready to send out a email/questionnaire to see, if people would rather have either a finished keyboard fully built, ready to go,
Yeah.
or if they'd rather have a kit. Um, we're not ready to ship full kilo Zs because I still have some work to do with Carl and on the 1068. Otherwise, I have to make some videos for people to resolder original TS 1000 boards like I have been doing.
Right.
Um, but ideally, it'd be great to have the 1068. So when Carl's life becomes normalized and he has time to play with me, then we'll do that. But I'm sure he's got a lot on his plate right now. So um, that's the ideal goal, right? The ideal goal is to have a new motherboard that can either ship pre-assembled and tested, or somebody can solder it themselves and print their own 3D case or have a case printed for them, have the whole thing come as a kit, have the whole thing come ready built, ready to go. Um, and the same with the Wespi, right? The Wespi with the carrier board. Or if we have the 1068, we don't need the carrier board anymore. That's just for anybody that wants to use an original TS 1000 or ZX81.
Very nice. Cool. Well, I for one, am among those people anxiously waiting, but I have
Yeah,
patience.
I appreciate that. I've been way too busy. It's as much as I want to get this, more stuff out to everybody. It's just been nuts.
Sure.
Work has been insane.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
phone hasn't stopped ringing with power plant emergencies and generators being down and
Hmm.
crazy
Cool.
time of year.
Cool. Cool. Thank you, Ingo. Hey, if y'all have not seen it yet, let's see if I can get this to show up. This is a I'll just try to do a little 3D spin around this thing. There we go. I gotta get it centered on my face. This is um what Don Crawford and Dave Spinnett are calling the Timex Sinclair 1526. So inside this is uh their adaptation of the OpenSpand board. They replaced the sound module with a discrete chip, but it has there's a joystick port on the back. It's got an RCA composite video and then a little 3.5 millimeter audio jack on the back, and a functioning reset button. I don't know if you can hear that clicking. Um, what is really kind of crazy to me is that the cartridge comes out and it is almost exactly the same size as the 1510 series cartridges, right? Um, a 15 a real Timex cartridge is going to have a notch right about here, if I recall correctly. Um, and so when I pulled this out, I was like, oh, there's four fingers on one side and four fingers on the other side, and they mentioned in the posts that they've done on Facebook and stuff that it comes with their programs, Zoust, which is their version of Joust, Zonkey Kong, and Robotech 2084, I think is what it's called. So, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, well, okay, so how does this work? And then I noticed it's not going to show up on here, but in the gap here and right in that very fine gap is the SD card holder. It holds those one of those little tiny, micro SD cards, right? I don't know if I could ever get it out, but I think, ostensibly if you got some tweezers, you could pull the SD card out. So the SD cards is inside the cartridge, and the four pins on each side of the cartridge are just bringing the SD card connector to the card edge connector inside this crazy little device that they made. So you have the real experience of plugging in a cartridge, feeling your way through. And this is a 3D printed case. And um, so is the cartridge. Both of them look like they are filament, um, but they look really nice. You can get one on Tindy. Don set up a Tindy store, I don't know, yesterday, today, something. He posted about it, today on Facebook, and there's a Tindy store for it. You can go, they've got the OpenSpand board, um, their design, it's on GitHub. But they have not released the STLs for the case yet. I think they're gonna make their own cases for a little bit, and then maybe in the future they'll do that. Looks really
On their
fantastic.
Tindy
Go
on their
ahead.
Tindy site, you can get the whole thing
You can get the
with the
whole thing,
case.
the whole
Okay.
shoot and match. Yes, yeah, and you can get it in either black or gray. Um, so I think I mentioned I was talking to some of the other guys, some of the guys the other day. And yes, I'll drop the link in the chat in just a sec. Um, and so it's good that you spoke up, Carl, because you're part of this story. Um, Ingo, Loic, Carl, um, Ryan, Don, David. I'm trying to think who else. There's just a whole host of people who have, oh, John Becker with the video thing and the extended color mode program that he wrote, and Ricardo and Gustavo and Tim Horner, who's been and crazy productive. I was just marveling the other day at how much stuff and Jeff Burrell, how much stuff, how much new things, how much cool craziness y'all have managed to come up with in the past few years. And I feel like, I don't know, it might just be my perception, but it sort of feels like it has accelerated, right? Tim Swenson puts out that ZX zine, and it's pretty clear from the ZX zine that just by thanks Peyton, um, just by virtue of the stuff that y'all are making, it gives Tim stuff to write about. um, so anyway, I just thought it was really cool. Uh, it occurred to me, pat yourselves on the back. Don't break your arm doing it though. Peyton shared the link in the chat. You can go see, you know what? I'll just pop that up so I can show you what it looks like. Oh, perfect.
$150. Oh no, that's actually pretty good.
But yeah, you think about, how much effort goes into those things. Is that the right window? I think so. There we go. Yeah, so this, this really nice black or this really sort of snazzy gray. Um, I don't know why it's, oh, there it is. That's what no, the photos need to be cropped better. Okay. So you can get a really nice close look, the actual, oh, he hasn't put the reset button in this picture yet, but, you know, these sort of pictures of him of Don building that first device. So there's the joystick port at 9 pin. I, I don't yet understand how it is that video is generated, but I'm sure once I dig into the OpenSpand, I will learn more about that. Um, think, what is that module on the back? I'm not sure what that module is on the back. That's hard for me to tell from this angle or read upside down. I don't know.
Might be a power module or
Could
something.
be. Yeah. Yeah. Hard to tell. But there's the giant Pico 2XL from Olimex that makes the OpenSpan work, and in this case the 1526. All, I don't know, what is that? That's like 80 some odd pins, I think. And that sort of oh, he's got it propped up in front of it. Okay. Yeah, and you can bet you can see those four edge connectors better than on probably on the video screen. Um, so yeah. Yeah. And there's a link in here. This design files goes off to the GitHub, which tells you about the project. J6. Maybe that's what it is. That looks like an SD
No, it's
card.
in between. It's in between. That's the audio jack.
Oh yeah, that is.
Whatever that little module is in between the composite and that. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you scroll down, it'll show the bottom view. I don't know.
I
No
think it's the
idea.
same pictures. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, because there's the audio
Yeah, I'm
jack,
trying to see
whatever that is, and it's not getting any bigger.
B clock gain ground.
I don't know. Oh,
I2S amp.
I mean, that could be the sound device because there's no. Oh no. Oh, that's over there is a I2C expander that
Yeah, that
that
might be the
microchip
sound
part.
chip.
No,
That
this
little
this
module
this
might be the sound chip.
yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe it's the sound chip.
Says Max
Hmm.
98375 987. No,
Yeah,
983
Oh, it says
A.
yeah, it's
I2S
an
amp.
I2S amp, so it might be part of
Okay.
the sound.
Yeah, probably a little audio amplifier.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Yep.
Huh.
Guess I don't have schematics, huh? But
Oh, you know what? That's right. Let's look at the bomb. Okay. Max says audio
audio
connector.
connector.
That's probably like you guys are saying, that's probably the audio. Let's just do
Probably the amp because it's a
yeah.
maximum chip.
Yeah. I2S amplifier module.
Mm.
Class D converts a digital audio stream into a speaker ready power. Oh wow. Okay, so it's not just an amp, you feed it digital audio.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I just want to pop back to Ingo was talking about Jay Mundy and Jay's, computer adventures. I just want to point out that Jay was a um was in the right area code, not area code because it's postal code in Canada, to be part of the ZX Appeal newsletter, which served the Vancouver area. And I just want to point out this very first sentence here that Jay had always told himself that he would never buy a computer. We see where that leads. We see where the computer buying leads. Uh, anyway, um, hey, Stuart, can you come off mute just for a minute? I want to ask you a question that you probably will not be able to answer anyway. Uh,
I was just eating a late dinner and didn't need you to watch me chew it. So
okay, no problem. All right, Stuart, I have two. I actually don't have two. One of them's with uh, uh, Joe. Uh, but between Joe and me, we have two. Um, what's it called?
zebra talkers.
Zebra talkers. Thank you. Yes, one has six chips, like the
Yep.
like the ads. And Joe, how many does the other one have? Is
You see my screen?
Oh yeah, yeah. You've got a
Woo!
four chip device.
Wow.
Stuart,
Well,
yeah.
I just unearthed
Oh,
this
oh my God.
this very
Pull it
weekend,
back towards your face a little bit more. And down. Look at that.
which is the first one you showed, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's the one. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just literally took the cardboard that I had on
Pull
it.
it down in front of your chest. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the one. That's the one that I have. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna work out the circuitry for that. And also, well, the other great surprise I had with this is evidently the SCO1 um, phoneme generating chip
Yeah.
is valuable. And I
Yeah.
have 23 of them never soldered into anything.
Oh my
So
God.
I'll use that to, I don't know, maybe I'll go to Chicago or something. I don't know. Who knows? But they seem to be selling on eBay, not frequently, but like over $100 a piece. And I never soldered them into it. I found this and a whole bunch of those and some other stuff. Yeah, I was, I want to get the message out that I would like to get all the documentation for the Zebra products online. Where your place is fine, or I might duplicate some of it on my website. But you have a head start. I make sure everything I have is there. Get all the and I'm missing a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna make an effort. Maybe every time I ship a product on eBay or something, I'll put in a note to the effect that that's a goal and where people could look for it. So I'd like to get all the code. I remember that when I did the Zebra Talker, and I think the date on here is 84.
Yep.
Yeah, 1984. I started in like March of 83. This came shortly thereafter. Now, what happened is John Monin was supporting the Radio Shack color computer, and he had done it for the Coco and was making a lot of them, actually, pretty high volume. So the idea of doing it came from him. But I remember enjoying taking the algorithm that the National Bureau of Standards had come out for the rules for parsing text and converting it to phonemes. I mean, it's worth looking at now. It is so concise. It's so few lines of code. I remember coding that in assembly language for the ZX81 and just being blown away when it worked. You know, that so few rules parsed the words in the English language into phonemes and made it, you know, somewhat intelligible. It was really amazing. So that was one of the most enjoyable things I think I ever, you know, designed in the computer world. Anyway, yeah, I want to put together. I'll get the schematic traced and put that up, and I will start to put out. I don't know if I can somehow squeeze that into an eBay ad and not. I probably can. I just can't. They don't want you to go to other websites that might sell something competing with eBay, but I probably can craft some kind of message that there is a concerted effort being made by some people to make everything that, you know, that's ever made open source formally and documented on the web. So if you have something you think isn't out there, let me know, or find it. I have to figure out how to do that and not run it, you know, up against eBay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and yeah, thanks, Joe, for on another project on the keyboard beeper. We have
Yeah, sorry about that late email. I just got that today.
yeah, there's a lot of email messages to you know, to sort through these days. But yeah, anyway, I'm that one. I've actually had a few people want a keyboard beeper, so I'm probably going to make a board, you know, and replicate that one. I would have think of doing this one also. Say the problem is that if I can get $150 selling the SCO1 chip, how do I put out a zebra talker for? Well, I still might do it. I could just to get the design, and if people have an SCO1 chip, cheap, good for them.
Well, the SCO1 has been emulated.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's an emulator.
So yeah, there's an emulator, a little hardware emulator. So if you have the
Yeah.
board, they can just slap one of those in there and make it
So
work.
so I might make this board too, and you know, just for the heck of it, you know, since it's easy to make boards these days. And also, I found I have a fairly, I don't know if I have 100, but I have a lot of wire wrap edge card connectors from back in the days, and I might as well use them for something. So figure that out.
Yeah, those are about as rare as hen's teeth as well.
Yeah. Well, people have figured out how to use different connector systems.
Yeah.
I know that Tim Horner has an expansion bus and gets away from using those connectors. And you have to take a look at that and try to make a decision if I'm going to make a few of these, you know, reproductions, let's call them, at least functionally. I'm not going to try to copy the old chips because it's, well, in some cases it is the easiest, and I'll do that. But if something else is warranted, I'm not trying to. These were this is a single-sided board with some jumpers.
Jumpers, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I laid this out with the old rolls of black tape, you know, that used to lay printed circuit boards out in those days. I didn't have a CAD system back then. But anyway, the interesting thing is that it's single-sided. The other thing I have to see if I can do is I've been making some printed circuit boards with a little under $300 CNC machine. In the maker space, we got a little CNC, and I've been, you know, just cutting them on a little CNC machine. And it might be fun to take some of these boards and put it out totally one end to the other. You can make this board if you have a little CNC machine and have the whole thing with the flat cam files out and everything, for somebody who has one of those.
Cool. So, Stuart, do you, again, I know this is ancient history. Do you have any recollection of what the difference is between the 4 and the 6 chip version of
No,
the? Okay.
I do not. I
Well,
really don't.
Joel
Uh,
will figure it out.
uh, on most of the products, I put, to keep the catalog straight and
Yeah.
to have my products, I think all of them have a unique number. So like this version of the ZebraTalk is C like Charlie -130. This is C130.
Yeah.
So I mean, one thing to do would be to see what is the number on the board that has.
Hold it lower down, Stuart.
I would
There you go.
assume it comes later. I would assume that I don't know. It's too small to see, but there
That's
is
fine.
there is on a black silk screen. It says C130 Rev A. So I'm curious if that other one is something after 130. And the other thing is I should go more carefully through like catalogs and see if there's any mention of a distinction at some point or feature. I
Right.
mean, we never used a very sophisticated chip, so it's got to have the SCO1. So it's just a matter of decoding the bus with 3 chips instead of 5, I guess. So I guess if we look at the ICs on it, we could figure that one out.
Yeah.
So is it Joe that has both versions?
He's got the 4 chip, and I'm going to send him the 6 chip because we want to try to get it working to show off at VCF Midwest. Joe's going to try
Yeah,
to get it going.
good. Yeah. Well, if you send me a photo of the back or like you added photos at my request, thank you, gentlemen. You added to the 5 or 6 photos you had of the ZebraTalker. You added the copper layouts so that I went to that and I drew a schematic. I'll get you the schematic and you can put that up for the keyboard beeper. I'd like to do it on all the products. So if you get
Cool.
me a photo of the 4 version, 4-chip ZebraTalker, I'll get around to. I know I'll make some effort to crank some of the stuff out by what is it? September 12th is the
Yeah.
thing is the Midwest.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try to
Yeah.
crank some stuff out. Yeah,
I
certainly.
guess, Stuart, you don't have any like files of the technical information on those things, right?
No,
It doesn't sound like it.
I don't. I don't. Yep.
You probably didn't imagine, in 1987 that it would be in such demand 40 years
No,
later.
I didn't really think about it. I didn't think about it. There's a lot of things I didn't think about, but all in all, I'm lucky. People want to buy a kit for nostalgia reasons at way more money than, I got lucky. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, but it's revolutionary. The CAD software for laying out, PCBs being free and the turnaround in quality from China is being, it's one of the wonderful things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and the other thing, Stuart, seeing you actually reminds me that I owe you money because I got well, I keep forgetting about it because Stuart told me at the time, said, well, I don't want to take money because it was the tax thing. It was like in December or
Oh, yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bunch of, I got like 5 of those
ULAs
composite boards. Yeah, because Mowgli gave me 2 1500s at the last Chicago thing. And so I used those to composite mod them because those are the best I've found so far for composite mods. So that's why
they work on the 1500.
yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and well, I completely forgot.
yeah, and I forget, and then I think sometimes, and I see you, and I'm like, oh shit, I owe him money.
Zebra is more or less in a mode that uh, I'm happy. I look at it like it's if I get enough income to pay my makerspace dues and play and make boards and stuff, and I break even at the end of the day, that's fine. So the whole budget is, a few $1,000s a year of cash flow in and out. And yeah, it came to December, and I said, "Oh, I'd rather have that money in January." And
Mm-hmm.
I made enough for this year to do that. So it's just, yeah, it's not it's Zebra is a hobby. Supporting the community and walking packages over to the post office is good exercise.
Yeah.
So that's.
Well, like I said, I do remember it, but it's not forefront in my mind, of course. So
But you also mentioned the 1500, and along with my focus becoming, looking at some of the leftover boxes of miscellaneous stuff, I am finding 2060 of some miscellaneous 2068s, some working, some not working, some modded, and some 1500s. And I think I may have some. Well, I have I just discovered a couple of 1500s that say no video. So I got to check that out. And I'm told, um, and I'm not really, I don't enjoy being a tech that much, but I hear that Joe Van de Zandt would be a great person to donate a couple of 1500s to if they don't work. If anybody can get them working, he can. Is that true, Joe?
I have fixed a couple in my day. Yeah.
That's everybody else who's fixed a couple of 1500s in there. They raise their hand, and we'll count the hands.
well,
Carl, good for you too.
yeah. And you mentioned some 2068s that don't work. Like I said, what's the guy that sent me his SCLD is bad. Not totally bad, but I mean, it's a video part of it's not working. So, if you had some bad ones, maybe we can yank off the SCLDs from them and maybe get that thing working again or something like that. Or maybe just fix what's wrong with the 2068 to begin with. But
let me grab a box because there's some other surprises. Let me.
All right. Let's talk VCF.
Well,
Go ahead.
while we have a lull,
Yes.
for fun, I wanted to show you this, which
German.
Datenverarbeitung mit den Sinclair QL.
which I picked up off the freebie table in Berlin at VCF Europe. So
That's so cool.
So
yeah,
what is the with the I don't know what that
so
that's
it's basically data manipulation with a Sinclair
data
QL.
processing.
Or data processing, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's in German. So although you could probably work out some of it. The code's not too hard. That part's at least half in English, but
well, Mowgli, if you don't mind me tearing the binding off, I could scan that in, and then we could just run the whole thing through Google Translate.
Yeah, that's the problem is I'm not going to let you destroy it because I don't know how many copies of this there are.
Right.
If I wasn't so busy, I'd translate it for you because that's my first language.
Right. I kind of figured. It's my second, so but yeah, no, it's one of those things where if I get a chance, I'll see. I have actual book scanners, which do the scanning without destroying it.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I have that too, but I just it takes a lot longer, right? That's the only thing.
It's more fun to tear it apart.
Well, no, it is, except if you're a librarian like I am, and then you walk around shaking your finger at people like this who do that. So
well, technically the book would still be okay. It just wouldn't have its binding. That's all.
You can re-glue it.
It does depend on how you do it. That's correct. Since it's a softback, technically there's probably a little bit less issue with taking that apart. But anyway,
yeah,
I just wanted to show that to you because I don't think that I've seen it. I mean, it's a German author, it's a German publisher. and it's in German, so I don't think that it's actually a something that was published in the US under a different name. It may actually be like kind of a unique, weird German book that they did on the QL.
Yeah, and for that reason alone, it's probably not in the Internet Archive because David hasn't gotten his hands on it yet and put it in there.
Yes, that's yes.
That's exactly
Yeah, I'm
correct.
pretty
That
sure it's not
was
available on that
that was
online.
a big thank you to you, David, because you put a lot of really good stuff in there and kept it alive.
Yes,
That's very cool,
a a
Lovely.
lot of stuff.
Hey,
Yeah,
Storage
so
Tool's back.
when I
Oh, go ahead.
saw it like in Germany, I was like, "Oh, I got to show this to David." It's like I'm pretty sure he hasn't seen it.
I have not.
And finding
This,
things that you haven't seen is very hard.
well, the whole ZX team folks in Germany, they do all kinds of stuff. And I've only stumbled across, a few of their newsletters, and they need to get with the program and archive all the stuff that they have.
Well, I sent David something last year that he hadn't had yet. It was an
That's true.
updated version of
Yeah.
a document.
Uh,
Paul, you pulled all sorts of weird stuff out of your house.
Well, it's not empty yet.
All right, I'm gonna spotlight Stuart so he can show us the things that he
Oh,
pulled out of his
well, I
box.
found
Stuart, you got to hold it down by your chest. There you go.
a
Twister.
well, it says it's a zebra disk interface.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess, yeah, we called it Twister too. So
I had one of those a long time ago.
okay, so I'll take the covers off and, well, I'll try to get that documented, but I don't have a
Cool.
drive to go with. So I found that. That's one interesting thing I found. I found,
so just a question. Did the Zebra drive interface, did that just use standard shoe guards like the Airco did?
That was
Does anybody know?
that was the F it was the FDD3 or 3000, and the thing
3000.
that Stuart held up was a it has yeah, hold it down by your chest, Stuart. It has on one edge a
Probably
Spectrum
Spectrum.
connector, and on the other edge a 2068 connector. So you could put your printer on
Huh.
one side, or not your printer, but and something American on one side, and the FDD3 or 3000 on the other one. And the FDD3, it had all its own smarts. And
Okay.
those were Hitachi 3-inch drives inside there, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. Amdek and Sinclair and Amstrad and a couple other folks use those 3-inch drives. All right,
Yeah, the
Stuart.
ones I have are Panasonics.
The
And
drives themselves?
Yeah. Yeah, if I recall
Interesting.
right, I think they're Panasonic drives.
Okay.
Because they're certainly, like you said,
actually,
yeah, they're 3-inch, but they're not, they're not your standard floppies.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
just going to ask, you guys said 3 inch, so not the three and a
Mhm.
half inch
No,
floppy standard,
that's
they're
right.
they're
an
not.
actual
Yeah,
3 inch drive.
right.
Yes.
Oh, I never heard of those. Weird.
Yep. And
Yeah,
The
they
Index
were
had
also
a
used
dual
in
3-inch
portable
drive
typewriters.
back then.
yep.
Oh, all right,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
and
All right,
there's
hang on,
a,
Stuart.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
found this Airco, I guess it was a Centronics printer interface.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, CP 2068 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
have
mean
this on your website?
I do, and I have one of those in a little box somewhere.
Okay. All right. All right. Nothing much else other than that. I have a FDZX one from IO Associates. I don't know what this is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No ICs. I have the sockets and a board, but
I'm
that's all.
trying, let me go look that up because I remember this. I remember this thing, and it's let me go look that up.
It's not RAM.
No. It's
Some kind of floppy disk interface, I guess, right? IO Associates. Okay.
FDZX1. Got it. Okay. From a company called Group Technology, and I'll share my screen. I don't know. This picture's not going to get any bigger. Okay, so it was a data acquisition. Let me zoom in. Uh, make this bigger.
Yep, that's the
A
board.
PIO board.
Yep, it's an IO board.
Oh, for a 1000.
Yep, for a 1000.
Yeah,
Yep,
peripheral interchange.
yep.
And fully
Um,
buffered address data and control
yep,
lines.
yep. So these are probably 244s, 74 LS
Something like that.
244s. And if it's got 6 decoded IOs,
It looks like it has a battery.
um, I think that's a capac. I think that's one of those big old ceramic capacitors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
Well, I think
terrible.
on Stuart's board, it kind of looked like. Oh no, I think I was going to
The
say
silk
crystal,
screen, the
but
silk
it'll.
screen on the one I have indicates a capacitor belongs
Yeah,
there, but it's not
Okay.
soldered on my board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, and I don't know if these cables go into the board above that socket because it's sort of hard to tell on the right if that.
looks like it goes into a dip socket,
Yeah, yeah,
so you can pull them off.
yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
They use two dip sockets for ribbon cable connectors.
Okay, okay. Wow, that's crazy. All right, cool, Stuart.
I'm looking around.
Well, if anybody has
Yeah.
weird, obscure stuff, it'd probably be Stuart. Well, with Zebra and everything, because you had your hands in a lot of pots back then.
Um, I don't know. I think I didn't really interact much with the other vendors, and I didn't play with, attempt to get disk drives working on it very much. I mean, and I think even, with when we start to get those Timex drives, anything we made, we were kind of handed the interface. We didn't really just design practically. I don't think we did really much innovation in with disk drives.
And that disk
Which
I
drive.
guess one question with the drives is, weren't they black over in Portugal, and maybe you guys painted them silver or something like that? Weren't the Zebra
no, we
ones
we
silver?
we never painted any.
Oh, okay,
Um, they probably just made them in different colors. And
okay.
somewhere I have, yeah, I have to pull that out. I have trying to remember. I have a photo of the room where they burned in disk drives.
Mhm.
In Timex. I visited that room there, there, burned them in for a day or so before they ship them. I don't even remember what color they are, but that photo I should be able to find without too much trouble. I'll have it next time. Yeah. Yeah.
Photos would be very cool. That would
Yeah.
be interesting.
And Stuart, are you planning to go to Chicago then? Since we're kind
I'm
of.
playing with the idea. I don't know. We'll see. The next thing I'm kind of interested in, this OpenSpand I find very, very interesting. I too am very interested in how it develops video. Is it just completely tracking all of the code and regenerating it from, you know, I mean, it's mostly the trick is when, software moves the video, call it a video buffer, in different places. You have to track it as it moves. I don't think you can. So like to get it to work with all the variations of software games, I think is a trick. Otherwise, if it didn't move around, you could just generate video from that. So I don't know. I have to see. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, there's open there are there are examples of how to generate. Well, that's VGA. There are examples of how to generate VGA, I think, on the Picos, right? On that RP 2350. How they
Well,
would
I know that for like the Wespi, right? So the Wespi uses an ESP32, and that actually connects directly to the video output of the ULA. So it's actually scanning the video output of the ULA and recreating it on its own to make a VGA.
yeah, that's
The,
a lot
the
simpler. But on the
Yeah, so
bus,
the span thing, it plugs to the expansion port. So that's where the difference is, right? Because you don't
yeah,
have video output on the expansion port. So it's got to do something else to, maybe it's scanning the RAM where the video is held. That's a
yeah.
good point. I don't know.
So I'm curious how that works.
I just put a link to the blog post about exactly that thing, and he replicated most of the ULA functionality and uses a couple PIOs on the Pico to help
Mhm.
count cycle and generate sync for the Pico generator. So
That's another question I was kind of thinking I had about the OpenSpand. We have kind of a continuum of devices from a pure um, ZX81 to a completely emulated one, like running on a ZX81 running an emulator, whether it's Java running on a web platform or something running on an Arduino.
yep.
So where do we? And we certainly have places where the RAM and the ROM have been incorporated into internally. So I'm really curious where the OpenSpan stacks up with the ULA. If you had a broken ZX81 with a non-working ULA but a good ZX80, would you be able to run it?
It's a good.
They
Wow.
or are they close to getting the OpenSpan to the point where all it needs from the ZX81 is the keyboard and the Z80? I, I'm assuming they use the Z80. They don't emulate that, but anyway. So I'm curious in the end, is it possible it could run without the ULA?
Sure. Yeah, you could do that.
I'm sure they could put the whole ZX81 in the Pico and run it. That way you wouldn't even need
Working ULA.
right
Yeah.
or working Z80, you would or working RAM and ROM. All you need is a keyboard. I guess if you wanted to actually use a physical case, you'd have to
Yeah.
somehow use the IO port to, scan the keyboard. But and then of course tape and the tape recorder stuff. I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh
But
yeah.
of course, we do have ULA replacements, right? At least for those machines.
Yes.
Charlie, in New Zealand made those. So although you can't get them here in the U.S. currently because of the stupid um, import tariff laws or whatever the hell is going on there. Um, but at
Yeah.
least he recreated those. The big thing is, like I said, with those 2068s that you might have that are bad, if the SCLDs on them are good, those are still valuable, at least I think so. I think if we, got, I don't know, 5 or 10 of them at least, that would be kind of a nice buffer. Because I don't really see, personally, I've worked on a lot of 2068s, and this is the first one I've seen that actually the SCLD is bad. All the other ones I've worked on, it's always been something else. But then again, you know, uh, the reason this one went bad is because he plugged a Spectrum peripheral into the 2068 bus, and yeah, that's what caused the smoke to come out. So I'm sure that doesn't happen as often either. So
Yeah. Um, hey, Willie,
Yep.
you are uh what we call in the library world deaccessioning. Getting rid of some of
Wow.
your what we call in the library world deaccessioning, getting rid of some stuff. But at the same time, that you've got a Oliger joystick port which does Kempston, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that works based on the edge connector. It looks like it's designed for both the 1000 and the 2068
And the 1500.
and the 1500. Nice, nice. Do you have a bunch of those?
I've got a handful.
Okay, okay. So, if anybody's looking for a Kempston joystick connector, it's a nice little board. It's the what is it, like 3 chips or something like that? The Ollie
Yeah,
board.
not
It's pretty
very many.
simple.
A pretty simple little board. Might have one here if I can dig it out. Yeah, here's one.
And
You can see it or not.
you got to hold it in front of your face. There you go. That's good enough. Yep, perfect. Yeah, nice, compact. So it just fit in a little expansion slot outside the back of the computer.
Works pretty good.
Okay, okay.
I use it on my
Um,
2068 when I'm playing Spectrum games.
do you have more of those Oliger disk drive sets that you were making at one point?
Yeah. I just sold a couple of those. I'm building a couple. I got several more boards, so I'm gonna go ahead and build a couple more sets up in
Okay,
case I wants to get one.
okay. Do you want to drop your eBay store link in the chat for folks who want to find your stuff? Because you've also got like a 1500, the
I
briefcase.
don't really have a store. I just got several listings.
Well, you know what? But there's a everybody has an eBay
Oh
page.
yeah, I get them my eBay information
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the web and see what I got.
Put that link to, if you get a chance, put that link in the chat so other folks can find you know, find your boards and stuff.
Okay, I'll read that.
Cool.
Yeah, and speaking that you're bringing Willie up too, it kind of reminds me again, now that I see people.
Do you owe Willie money too?
Well, no, I don't owe him money, not at least not yet. But I would like to get a set of that disk drive system that you were putting together, because I don't have any disk drive system for the 2068 at all. So, I was kind of looking at, because since you're making those, that's a good start. Because I would like to get a FTD 3000 at some point too, but those are a little harder to scrounge up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Oliger system that Willie has is a nice system. The way that Oliger extended his basic versus Larkin, I don't know, just it seems a little cleaner to me. Larkin required you to do like a randomize user 100, and then you could do a print number 4 once you'd done that. And Oliger just was just the slash, Willie? I mean, was there anything else that you had to do
He just uses the normal keyword that's on the computer, which is the slash.
with the slash? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could format, you could merge.
Yeah, so he's probably using the error catching, like the on error,
Yeah.
basically like the Spectrum
Yeah,
does.
yeah, the
Same thing.
flag, that little slash flags his ROM and whatever, and that's it. Takes over for a second to issue the command or do whatever you want trying to do. Then it releases everything back to the computer.
Yeah, sort of like the interface one, with its asterisk command worked. Cool.
Plus, when we got started with him, just drove over to his house.
That's right, because y'all are in Indiana. Was that
Spent a lot of
Billy
days.
Frank and I went over there on the trip.
very cool.
Yeah, so
Um,
Willie just saved me a set. If you just make a mental note, I definitely want to get a set of that from you. So if you're making some, set me aside one, and we'll figure it out from there. I appreciate it.
You got it, Carl.
Cool. So, Carl, you're going to be coming to VCF Midwest, right?
Yeah, I'm planning that. Yep.
Okay. What are you thinking about bringing to show off?
Well, a lot now. I'm starting. I said August. I need to really get into the 2068, or the 1068.
Yep.
And so I have printed out my schematics, and I had one at the last one that was working, but it wasn't, as integrated as the one that the 1068 is, right? Because
Hmm.
if you remember right, I had one there that had the ESP32 on it, it had VGA out and the joystick ports and all that. So I know that works, but we're running up. The big thing with it is running up against the RAM and the M1 not stuff, and I just think I don't know what's going on with that. So we're just going to kind of strip it down to, we're going to see if we can get the basic 16K working, right? And kind
Hmm.
of leave all that other circuitry kind of out of it and, just build up from there. But, if we can get that thing working, because, like I said, it's got the sound, it's got well, I'm sure the joystick part works. We know the SP32 part works. So it's just these, the battery backed RAM, does that work? That kind of, but anyway, we'll see how far I get with that. Hopefully by the middle of the month here, I can actually have it working, at least in the 16K form,
Okay.
really, 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 really stripped down. And then, try to add more onto it and just see what we can get by the show. Um, and then of course, like Ingo was saying, the intention kind of with that thing, I can't believe it's almost been a freaking year. I designed that board May of last year, and it's gosh. Anyway, um, because that board is intended to go into the Kilo Z case, right? But obviously, it's got the two DB9 connectors on the back of it, and that needs to be, uh, you know, in the design for the 3D printed case, right? So until we can get that board good and going, and I think Ingo, you said you sent that board, or you gave somebody else too that was going to try and build
I
one. And
I was going to, but then never did.
oh, okay.
I put some minimal amount of components on one just to try and get like a working ZX81
Hmm.
with none of the other upgrades on it,
Right.
but just couldn't
Nothing.
get any video out. And then I
Okay.
haven't had time to troubleshoot it.
Right. Right. Yep. Same thing with me, really. I kind of was working on that. I don't know if you guys remember. It was like an expansion thing that went on the back of the 2060 or the 1000, right? And it had all that stuff in it. Same things. It had the memory, it had the joystick ports, it had the sound chip, but it was meant as an expansion that you plugged into the back of a 1000, right? And it added all of that stuff. Um, I don't think it had the ESP32 on it,
Mm-mm.
but it was not that wasn't part of that. But the rest of that circuitry is identical, right? The RAM, the sound chip, the joystick port, all that stuff is identical between the two. But so that's kind of where I was running into problems originally, is I couldn't get that to work, right? And then I kind of was pushing off the 1068 till I got, because I figured whatever I'd learned from that expansion thing would carry over to the 1068, right? Because they're the same. But yeah, things just happened and I didn't get to either one of them. So now they've got a layer of dust on them that I just cleaned off. So like I said, I do have a fully built 1068 um, that I built a long time ago by now. But in fact, I took all the parts off of that one that I brought to the show last year,
Yeah.
right, and put them into this board. So that, because I knew they worked. But like I said, you try to boot it up and you don't get anything.
Mhm.
So I'm sure the RAM is something's going on there. I've got some, there's a bunch of hodgepodge of circuitry that from Oliger, I think, had some of it for the M1 Nod, and then somebody else, I
Mhm.
think Will Freiger had his 64K expansion
Mhm.
circuitry that he has, that he used the 251 chip to really decode the full, well,
Mhm.
8K chunks, right? The 8K chunks of the whole memory map. So that's kind of what I'm using, it looks straightforward when you look at it, but putting that into practice, obviously something's going on there. I'm sure it worked at some point, because if Wilf did it, and he got it working, then I'm sure I'm just missing something, or I did something wrong. I don't know, but we'll get to the bottom of it eventually, and get all that stuff working, because the point was too is, now that it's got that sound chip in there, it's got the IO port, right? At least if you use the 8912, right? If we went to the 10, well, the 10 has, I think, 2 ports on it. But anyway, um, we could use that IO port to control things like turning the M1 not on and off. We could have it control the RAM, what bank you wanted the RAM on and what chunks you wanted on. We could use that IO port for stuff like that. But that's, not integrated into this design at all yet. So, but that was
Mhm.
kind of what was in my mind for a future revision, that we could software control all that stuff.
Mhm.
So, but things are going along with the kilos. That's good. The case is coming along, and I kind of figured by this time, because David was telling me I wasn't kind of really planning on coming this year, but he's like, hey, you're gonna have all these extra cool things by that time, and
Hmm.
here it is a month away, and a little more than a month away, and I'm really no better off than I was then. So, I have thought about, well, maybe I don't need to go, but I said, well, I've already bought everything, the tickets and the hotel and everything. So I'm like, and I know I got to ask you for a table, David, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm sure you probably got an extra table.
I got space for us. Yep.
Right. So I'm like, I'll go. I mean, I'm retired now, so it's not like I got to worry about work for that, but things are settling down with me now, so cool. But I,
Well,
I know we kind of wanted to talk about that too. Who else is going to go?
yep.
I don't know about I know Adam and I don't think Ryan are going to go this year. Uh, it'd be kind of just more of the same for them, I think, just bum around and check stuff out. That's kind of what I want to do this time because I didn't really get a chance to do that last year. Right, I kind of was stuck at my table pretty much the whole event, so I didn't get a chance to really go walk around and look at the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Uh,
I'd like to do that this time.
I got a question. You
Yeah.
mentioned extra RAM. Did anybody ever compile and go through all the William Pedersen information on his 256K RAM?
I have, um, it depends on what you mean by all. I mean, there is some, but I feel like, there's a bunch of Bill Pat Peterson stuff that I have not come across yet. And so, Paul, if you are sitting on a treasure trove of paper, let's talk.
I know he released some of the information through the user group newsletters.
He did. Yep. And I've got some of it there. Um, Let me just see here. Peterson, because I just came across, I was looking at something that he wrote about bank switching.
He had that working in 87.
Yeah, he had a bunch of interesting bank switching articles. Um, and so did what was that guy's name? Larry Crawford. Larry Crawford also did a DIY, roll your own RAM expansion for his computer. Um, but yeah, I got some of Bill's stuff.
And it's funny too, because bank switching, at least to me, thinking about back then, I kind of thought that was kind of a new thing that Timex was doing that nobody really kind of had done before. They were kind of delving into it. Maybe that's why it was kind of taking them a long time to do it. But as I've gotten more older computers in my, you know, collection, I find that's not true. There's a lot of companies and a lot of even older computers, or at least around the
Well, I mean,
same time, that were already doing bank switching.
that
Yeah.
was the standard way for an Apple II to expand it, in any way
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah,
They were doing that in what, 78, 77, something like
yeah,
that. And I mean, before that, the it wasn't that common to have S100 machines that had like all that much RAM. Most of the time they'd put 64 in it, and that was like the most you needed. And that's to some extent what the Z80 would address. But there were definitely, yeah, I mean, bank switching was not a new thing even in the
right.
mid 70s.
Yeah.
Well, in the
That was
S100
already well
days,
known.
64K of RAM in the S100 days was uber expensive.
Yep.
It
Yeah,
was, but and that's why most people didn't go beyond that for their S100 bus machine. Um, which is where you start needing to do bank switching on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you had
So,
NPM.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
I'm just saying I'm kind of finding it. I like these Casio pocket computers. I was a big pocket computer fan back then, and even in their pocket computers, they're doing it. And
mhm.
it's like they don't really use because a lot of those they just use like a 4-bit microprocessor. It wasn't even an 8-bit. And I think the address, I don't know what their address lines were, but still they were still doing it even in these pocket computers. And of course, like the Model 100, the TRS-80 Model 100s, the NEC versions of those, they were bank switching already. Even with the ROMs, you could bank
Yeah.
switch the ROMs. And it's just like, wow, I started getting these older computers and like, well, shit, they were doing this crap way back then.
Yeah. So I wanted to go back because I knew somewhere I had a bunch of random boards that I had picked up from Cocoa Fest whenever that person who had a bunch of Timex Sinclair stuff up in Chicago passed away, and they auctioned off his stuff during the
Oh, Bob
Cocoa
Svoger,
Fest.
probably.
Yes, that would
Yeah.
be it.
Okay.
So I wound up with some of his stuff. So like this is a
Zebra Talker
uh
with no, oh my God.
yeah. So I've got like two of these boards. Um, both of them somebody did the wiring on them, but no chips,
Mm-hmm.
basically, or no other
Nothing.
parts.
Maybe they came
Um,
that way from Zebra. It looks like
oh,
the
did
same
they?
thing. I don't know. It looks like the
Okay.
same wires that Stuart was holding up on his little white jumper wires.
I used to buy the wires, pre-bent. The machine would, you'd get different lengths and on 10th-inch increments, and they'd be right angle
Mm-hmm.
and stripped at the end. It was solid wire, so they were easy to insert. You didn't have to bend. You didn't start with wire. Saved the assembly time, and they were very neat looking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean so yeah, these are what? Copyright 84. So,
Yeah, that is this board, and I have no recollection that I ever sold the board as a separate thing, but I guess I did or whatever.
Well, Stuart,
you must have.
at
Yeah,
one point you sort of got out of the Timex world, and Rod Gowan said in one of his newsletters that he bought, your stuff.
fun stuff that could be.
That could be how that ended up with
Yeah,
because when Rod
Yeah, well,
got
Rod
out,
was out in Seattle.
yep, yep. And then when Rod got out of business, there was a little sort of attempt to rescue as much from him as possible, that they did over email and through the newsletter and stuff. And so for some of that to end up in Bob's collection is not too terribly surprising.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, this is says it's a Michaud TS 2068 digitizer
Oh, hold that up.
by Smug 1988.
Just the board? Oh my gosh. Nice.
Yep, just the board.
And the other side is no, it's a single-sided board. Oh, it's a double-sided board. Wow.
It's got a little bit on the other side. That's not a lot, but
Okay.
it's
So
certainly
the um Michigan, Southern Michigan user group. I don't remember what SMUG stands for.
okay.
Um, they designed a video digitizer board, that thing you were holding in your hand. You would plug your video camera into it or your VCR into it, and there was software that ran on your 2068 that would capture that image. So, it worked best with a video camera that held the image still. If you put your VCR on still, you'd hope that you would get, a nice quality still image. Um, and it captured it at two, three bits worth of resolution, maybe four. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's at least three. Um, and yeah, they sold a bunch of those boards to all kinds of folks. And it's hilarious. There's pictures in various newsletters that were taken using the that board and video camera combo.
Huh,
So I,
okay.
so I guess do you have like a schematic of that, David, or
Yep,
like
yep. The
okay,
schematic showed up a
okay.
bunch of places, but I've never seen the board for it. That's really nice, Mowgli.
Was that the same way they did the scanner on a printer?
The ski you talking about the little opto mechanism that you'd put on the printer head and it would go scan back and forth. Yeah, this is actually like
It interfaced with something.
yeah, the Smug digitizer is more like slow scan television, the way it works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that used to
Um,
be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
then this comes with a note that talks about Twister and basically talks about use with the Twister,
Yeah.
the small prototyping, something on the board.
Yep. And what's the
But
board?
then there's this
Yeah, okay.
board which has it basically has a thing that says TS 3068 on one side and Spectrum on the other side.
On
I
the
don't
other
know.
side.
Yeah, pointing to these two
Yep.
interfaces.
Yep.
And I think that's most of what's readable. It says something about lengua, Leng, and I
Okay.
think it's
Yep.
GUA
Yep.
or
So that was actually Charlie. Would Charlie, did you know Doug Dewey?
Yeah, I was on mute. Yes, I knew Doug.
So that is Doug Dewey was in the was really active in the Triangle um area user group, which is Charlie, help me out here.
Raleigh, North Carolina area,
Yeah,
Greensboro.
so that's the research triangle. So it was Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of the things that Doug came up with was a cartridge that he called the EMU, and you put a Spectrum ROM in it and stuck it in your computer, and you could have a Spectrum. And that thing was a twister that he made. Lengua was the name of his company. Let me just look up Doug. Um, and he was all over the newsletters because he was like one of the very first people to come up with a a Spectrum ROM board. I'm trying to remember the name of his twister. Interlingua. That's his name of his company, Mowgli.
oh,
Lin.
okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, there is it's hard to read, but yeah, that makes sense. It
Okay.
could say enter lengua.
Take
Yeah.
take some pictures of that and the digitizer board for me because I didn't even have a twister. I didn't know that Doug had made a twister board.
Okay. I'll put those on the
Or
pile.
scan them, whatever. I don't.
And then this is weird because it's like completely unlabeled and I have no idea what it is, but it was in there with it.
Okay,
Um,
let's see the other side. Is it blank or is it also let's
the other
okay.
the other side's
Both
blank.
side. There's
Uh
no expansion port on that either, so that's
nope.
kind of something. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that would be, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like no writing on this whatsoever to
Yeah.
tell you anything about what goes where.
yeah, and it kind of looks like it might have even been hand etched. It kind of looks like
It
a,
certainly
a
looks.
homebrew board.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it has that look to me too.
Mm.
I'm wondering,
Okay.
and like about three or four IC spaces. Mowgli, oh no, that's an 8-pin device right there. Okay.
It looks like two chips to me.
Well,
There's
there's a
Yeah, I
two,
third
think
one
it's
down on the
I
bottom.
think
eight,
There's an
it's
eight
two
pin.
Oh,
chips.
okay.
Yeah, there's an 8 pin down on the bottom there.
yeah, and then two, see, 14 or 16 pin spaces. Yeah, I wonder what that is. Huh.
Oh yeah. So
Yep,
there's
Yeah,
like a
there's a
chip there.
yep. Chip there.
There's a chip over there and a
Yep,
chip there.
yep. And there's
And
one
there
more.
might be a chip up here as
Yep,
well.
yep.
yeah, some kind of SIP
So it looks
thing or
like
something.
four.
Oh, wait, there's another
Oh
one.
wait, there's
Yep,
another one
down in
over
the
Well,
here.
corner.
that's probably a connector, looks like, because it goes to the ground plane, so that may be
Oh,
like
yeah.
your.
Could be.
Oh no, because there's another row of pins next to it too. But there's certainly a lot of them that are in the ground plane there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I
Yeah,
wonder what
it's
that
like
is.
yeah.
Might be a
Something else to
keyboard
scan, and then
interface in
uh,
that.
It's
Yeah, for us to puzzle over on the internet.
you could reverse engineer it, at least make the ICs into 14 pin blocks. You don't know what they are, but how they're
Yeah.
hooked up.
Well, and I was looking at one of those ICs. It has a little internal jumper on it, and there's a couple circuits, usually a like the 74LS 138. You'll do that in order to go from one output to another input. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
cool.
I mean I can just bring this stuff to VCF.
Sweet. Okay.
And you can poke around at it and see if you can figure anything out with any of it
All right.
and or get whatever pictures you want out of it.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Um,
Yeah, because the twister board might be interesting because that, like I said, I mean, putting a Spectrum ROM into 2068 was pretty trivial back in the day. You opened it up, swap the ROMs out, and there you go. But you still had the 2068 bus, right?
Yep.
So that thing actually would convert it because you had the voltage regulators on there, so you would get your 9 volts, your 12 volts, and other stuff like that. And like you said, that 138 circuit, that kind of looks to me like it doing the switching, right? Because it goes to ROM chip select. So it probably would, maybe it had a switch on it or something where you could switch between the 2068 and the Spectrum ROMs, and it would do the switching for you, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like what you do on your twister board there, David. Same kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, we know Joe's going to VCF Midwest. Is anybody
I'm
else?
going.
We know Mowgli. Mowgli's always, yeah.
Yeah, I got to bring back your 1500s, man, a year later.
Dude, I've somebody's working on my on an interface one with a Radio Shack interface one, and he's had it for 2.5 years at this
Oh, okay.
point.
Oh dear.
And I got to poke him again and see if he's going to get around to fixing that anytime soon.
Poke him with a trident.
Anyway.
I kind of like him. He's decent.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
He just needs occasional reminders that he needs to be working on stuff occasionally.
Um, how about Peyton? Were you coming? I can't remember.
Yep, we'll be there.
Nice. Cool. And part of the reason why I keep asking y'all this is, just for purely selfish reasons, because I like hanging out with y'all. And it's, it was so cool last year, and I've been looking forward to it, since then. So that's
I don't know if
just,
Peyton's wife is going to come with him this time.
that's
Oh yeah, she's already mapped out
I
all
mean-
her plans while I'm at the
Oh, okay.
cool.
I was
Okay.
going to say, it did seem like she had it all together. It wasn't like she was bored out of her mind because you were doing the show and she's didn't seem to be that interested in all of that. So
Nice. Okay. Hey, Ryan. Ryan, we got in another meeting, we got into a discussion. Ryan was working on playing with the ULA Plus features that Jeff put in the Pico video, and he had shown some pretty cool shit. For those of you who don't know, ULA Plus is this thing that was designed by Andrew Owen and some others that extends the color palette abilities of the spectrum. And Jeff Burrell, when he did the Pico video, he included it in the Pico video. So Hey Ryan, do you want to, I don't know, share your screen, or are we doing iPhone video or something?
Uh, a bit of both, I suppose. I'll hear this just, oops.
Oh, and we can tell it's August by your calendar on the wall.
Oh yes, it's the group photo there. Um,
Where is Adam? I haven't seen him in the last couple of meetings.
he had family over for a while. So he was kind of busy. I did drop by uh this past weekend.
Yeah, he's been a little
Um,
a little offline.
so yeah, he hadn't messed with things, and so I guess he probably won't
Yeah.
join till he fires his computer again. I'm gonna
Oh,
guess.
okay. Well, I just wonder because he sent us that email the other or the text about the computer group here was having a meeting. I'm like, dude, that's fine that you're doing that, but you can't send us hey, they're having a meeting tomorrow
What,
and
you can't just
expect,
drop anything?
yeah, exactly. It's like, give me a week, maybe at least, dude. I mean, come on, a couple of weeks would be like nirvana, but I mean, yeah, one day, it's like, no, not gonna happen. Anyway,
Okay, so we'll start
Oh,
here.
good. Thank you.
Um,
Oh, perfect.
so I started out using this handy feature of VS Code where if you put like a hashtag web look color code looking thing, it gives you a doodad to
Oh,
look at it.
wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Um, so I was kind of playing with it. Um, and then of course, once I started actually implementing things, I noticed that these colors that you see don't necessarily match up the colors that come out of the VGA. So I got to talk to Jeff about that a little bit. So that kind of made it hard, after I was like playing around with some nice colors to pick, and then I go through them in there, and it looks very, very different. So I'm still working on that part. So the other thing is that the colors are reduced depth. So you've got 3 bits for green and red, and 2 bits for blue.
Okay.
So, and I haven't talked to Jeff about this, so I kind of assumed where these land in the 0 to 255 range. Um, that basically it kind of makes sense that the description of ULA plus, if you've seen that document, is really strange. Took a
Yes, it
while
is.
to figure it out, um, of like what's going on, but basically, oh, it says you could take these 3 bits and you could just repeat them to come up till you get 8 bits, and then of course you only have 2 bits of blue, so you repeat. So you the 2 bits of blue are these first 2 bits, and then in addition to that, the missing third bit of blue that's generated is the OR of the first 2 bits. So it gives you an equivalent. So O1 of blue is the equivalent of O11, you know. And so then I extend that to 8 bits, come up with the discrete code. So any color I want, I've got to sort of snap to this grid of colors I can have.
Oh, okay.
And so then convert. Uh, so then I get those. So then once you put those together, then you get the actual 8-bit value. You get to not poke in, but send out the data bus with an out command to actually send to the video card. So this is uh, so you get all this data. And then it's arranged in a kind of interesting way of like you get well, it's easier to sort of say that it takes over the attribute flash bit and bright bit to basically shift color palettes. And but in addition to that, you can define in one palette different colors for the paper and ink. Which at first I thought, well, why would anyone ever want to do that? That sounds crazy. But then eventually, I don't know if this isn't really illustrating it. So now we could probably go back to, I guess I will unshare this and change the video. So here we will go. Try to do this.
Now we're in the full motion video experience.
Oh wow, we got a lot of flow. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay. So I would start. I guess I'll start with the easy one. I did manage to put like just a basic thing in here. So if you know about the TS Pico, you know that if you don't have a file mounted, which is the case for when you first start the computer, if you load an empty file, it loads a nice little utility file. And in that, we put some helpful stuff. And so one of the things I had added before was an entry for the Pico video, which was only to toggle the bright black on and off. When Jeff told me, what that was, you had to have these secret little commands here. And so I'm like, oh man, never remember that. So let's just put it here, and I'll just come in, boot up, and then I'll toggle the bright black on and off. And so the little menu here, you can turn it off. I don't know if that's showing up very well.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's on or off.
Yeah, it's pretty subtle because the bright black is not very much brighter than
Oh,
the
no,
black.
wait. Is it on now? Because it looks a little bluish.
Yeah.
Behind the bright. Got it. Now I
So
can
there
see.
it's off.
Yep, that's on.
So it just does the little secret things. Now, so these are the things I've added here for this stuff to play around with. So we'll do a little demo palette with, because the ULA plus thing is not on. So we get our normal palette. So what this is doing is showing all these combinations of things, of color attributes. So on the right clearly is all the flash versions of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have all your different paper colors. And then every other row is bright, not bright. And of course, as we know, bright takes up the whole cell. So it's bright, ink and paper are bright in there. And obviously these colors are all very bright themselves. They're just really saturated versions of things. So we're going to just kind of load this palette I've been working on, which is, again, it's just a sort of it's a tweak of the standard palette, because my goal is not for playing games so much as just have an alternative palette for your text and programming and stuff. So let's see, load that. Okay, now we'll turn it on.
Oh, it's like
so
less saturated.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. So like part of the problem is because the choices I made is that we lose the bright up here. That's because I've kind of moved how you do that. So I'm still playing around with ideas there. So we'll go back to our palette demo here.
Oh wow. Look at all those unnatural colors. Like orange.
So, and we can go to another, my other little program, but we see that the flashing's gone because you don't get flash. Basically, this is not a thing anymore, which Adam would be appreciative of. And then,
I think a
so
lot of people will thank you for that.
yeah. Well, so you can see the consequence of that because normally this would be flashing.
Oh yeah, right.
So if you just have if your palette is not arranged very well, this might not be a very discernible set of colors. So that was part of the strategy of playing around with this, which was I wanted it to be a little more intuitive. I mean, you can just put colors everywhere, and then if you have your program sets the right things to get the right colors at the right time, fine. But then if you try to use it for like a normal program with text and stuff, it would just be madness. So what we can see here, maybe, hopefully, is we can get on the dark versions of the colors, both dark and bright inks.
Oh, okay.
And then similarly, we've got dark and light inks on the bright version of the paper. Okay. And that gets into the strategy of arranging these things that I'm playing with. And so I don't know how well the colors are showing up because for me, looking at my own screen, it's a little, if I come up, I don't know how the colors are coming through. Because one of the things I was playing around with this was it's just those colors are all just so saturated. Looking at them all the time, you just stick into the black and the blue and the white typically. I don't know how well it's coming through. And again, the colors I'm getting here on the same monitor look differently than the color codes on the PC, right? So,
okay.
And I got to talk to Jeff about that to see like, is there some? I'm sure he's encountered this of like, is there something I need to be doing, applying a gamma shift, or I don't know. So what I've done
also,
is
different displays will do different things to the picture.
Well, this is a different input. This is its VGA digitizing input, but it is the same monitor.
Okay.
So I've basically gone with some more muted colors and some other swaps. So generally these are all darker. So the dark blue is darker, dark red's darker, dark magenta is darker. So you actually have a purple.
Yeah, purple. Great.
Dark green is, so you can have like some grass. The cyans, I muted a little bit, I think. And then this is a brown. I don't know how well that's coming through.
It does look like a brown. The cyan, it looks like it's shifted too. It's more,
it is
more of a slate blue.
Now the last minute change I made was I finally figured out what the white is, because my white was this much warmer white because I was, setting the values all equal.
Yeah.
And it turns out I was like, but when I turn the ULA plus on, it instantly goes to this little bit brighter, a little bit bluer white. And sure enough, figured out the codes make that the same white. So I'm leaving that for now, which is basically your dark white or whatever, because your bright white is your white. And then of course, here we have all the bright versions of the paper. But we can
purple looks pink.
But I've left the set of colors the same for between the ink and paper for the 16, the 8 dark, 8 light. So I'm playing around with a lighter bright black to get more of a gray, because the other one is just so dark. There's not much difference. And then I'm still playing around with what to do for the bright blue. the bright red is trying to be, the saturated red, because you still kind of want a sort of an alert red. So then the bright magenta is then sort of this pink, or at least to my eye on the monitor. Looking at the monitor, it's kind of this strawberry milk kind of color. And then the bright green is kind of pretty close to the regular green. I guess it is still a little right, but it's a little bit. It's trying to be not quite so saturated, but when I look at I don't know how well any of that's coming through though. And then I wanted to have an orange, so I replaced bright cyan with orange as sort of a difference. And then left the yellow, but moved it to the bright. I muted it slightly. And then made the dark yellow the brown. So that's a la the PC Junior Tanny 1000, I think. And then, of course, your bright white. Now, wrong keyboard. This keyboard. Okay, so we will go, let's turn that off. And we'll go back here. We use our handy dandy little menu, pick file. So let's jump into
1 minute
here. And number 4. Okay. First thing, the way first thing it does is it shows the normal palette demo like I did, only it's programmed a crosshatch thing for illustrating what you get with that.
Yeah.
Boy, my screen is decided to go very dark, and so my preview, me looking through it, is
it looks pretty bright, Ryan.
Terrible. Okay. Yeah, my phone screen was deciding to go very dark. So I was like, okay, here we go. All right, so you got that. Okay, fine. So then it loads. So then this will be the same, except I got this crosshatch in here. Demos. That says, oh yeah, what is that going to look like if you started to do a little crosshatch with some of these combos?
Wow.
And so this one goes into my little makeshift. Well, it has to convert I break out the colors into their RGB values. So then this is the little palette preview or an editor. So here we can see trying to arrange it in here, the attributes you can control, the flash and the bright attribute. So we see these arrangements here of non-flash, flash, non-bright, bright. So you get your 4 basic groups. And then you can have separate ink and paper within each group. So there's kind of like 16 colors, but they're 8 are to the ink and 8 are to the paper, is the way it's arranged. So I was trying to figure out what to do with that until I kind of realized that, well, you could set these, but if I put like some other lovely colors down here, I could never put them in. I could never use them with colors that were in this grouping, for example. So you could have all these colors, but you couldn't mix all of them together because you could only mix them within one of these 4 groups. Okay.
You have to be really strategic about your palette.
So what I did was I said, well, okay. I finally came to the realization of, so the way the grouping you see here is, I said, okay, I'm going to have dark and light colors, or I'm just going to kind of tweak the basic colors with kind of these couple of exceptions where I substitute a little bit. And the first palette group is dark ink, dark paper. The second one was which is bright one, is bright ink, dark paper. This one is the opposite, dark ink, bright paper, and the last one is bright ink, bright paper, so that I can have combinations, and that's what you saw in the test pattern, is I can actually combine all of these colors because by doing that. Now, the downside, of course, is I'm limited to these 16 colors. I can't have 64. So that's kind of what, I mean, I'll probably get into doing something with more colors, but this is, my first goal was I just wanted something with a little nicer text mode to use from. And so I can go in here and I can just kind of choose what I want, and then I can tweak the color values on these. And here I can help out visualizing the colors. Border can still only be the dark colors. So like I said, okay, help me out here. I want to just see more of this with the border. So I can set the border to that to kind of look. And so we can go over here. We can see what this nice darker blue is.
Wow.
The red's red, but it's not like shouting at you unless you make it bright. And then kind of, and some of the, like I said, the discrete thing, because of the 3 bits and only 2 bits of blue, you only get certain increments of this. So like if we play around here, you can see here, and then they're also arranged in the ULA plus in the green, red, blue order, which makes all the translation of all these colors just even more hard.
Right.
So I get the values here. Those, which are just basically 3-bit values, although the blue is 2-bit, but so it takes on just these 3 values, and then that's the total byte for the ULA plus, and then the RGB equivalents here. And so, so I can twiddle. Let's see, that's one of this. If we put another step of blue in there, you'll see the blue goes up to 5, 7. Like the first blue step, is quite a bit.
Right. Pretty dramatic, yeah.
Because of the way of the rules of the 2-bit blue and the way it sets the 3rd bit.
That's really crazy.
And so this one's kind of good for playing around with the dark colors because you can have the border changing as you go. So yeah, so it's so it's still an adventure. My goal is to have already, other than like tweaking the colors, the Pico no file menu, just to have like a nice alternate palette to choose from. I'll probably, as I create a couple more, I might I'll throw them in there so that like you could just boot up and select a nice little alternate one to program in. Now obviously your programs and things have to do different stuff that's a little different. So I try to keep this mapping as sensible as possible. Like, the flash basically is kind of more the bright. They really just control these groups, but generally, if you say bright, you're going to get bright. If you just do nothing else, you say bright, you get bright ink, but you won't get bright paper with it. It would be like putting on the flash and bright. But, playing around with this, I might move these around. Maybe it makes more sense with some programs to making this one bright on both bright, and it would look compatible. That may be a thing that seems to make sense. Maybe I switch that around a little bit so it's a little bit more compatible with other stuff. And then maybe have some that have a little bit more fun colors. But then, obviously to have this little thing to help you tweak things. And then also, like, let's do a little demo here to I can type.
Mhm.
Yeah, so keeping these bright dark things for the flash sensibles, you'll always have something that's contrasting to see whenever this thing is supposed to be flashing.
For the cursor. Okay.
Let's do that. The old ink is 7. There we go. So there we got some nice thing on a nice blue that's not too bright coming at you. Anyway, so the I have like some routines to put in like a line numbers that you could, merge into your programs that do just like some of the little utility things to help you use the UA plus stuff.
Cool.
And then coming up with a way to save them into a TAP file, like in a data array or something, so that you can save and load them without having to fiddle around with data statements all the time. That's some of the thoughts there.
That's really nice. It's really nice what you've done, Ryan.
So, yeah. That's what I got.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for showing this, Ryan. Real quick, our next meeting would ordinarily be the weekend of the 16th, but we are going to meet on the 23rd at the usual time. But I'll send out a reminder email. Usually the 16th would be the third Sunday of the month, but we got a picnic we're going to go to.
How dare you?
I know, the nerve. Yeah. On that note, thank y'all, everybody. And Mark, thank you for showing up and coordinating. I will email Jason at VCF to get us all together. And hopefully we can all have a good time hanging out together at VCF Midwest again. All right. See you guys.
Right.
Have a good evening.